I want to show you guys here a thread on Twitter by Alec Karakatsanis. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. He posts all the time about legal issues and the so-called justice system. And I wanted to read you guys this thread. This is just fantastic. It's about the very concept of imprisoning people and the efficacy of how we quote unquote rehabilitate prisoners at this point. This thread is about two facts. First, human caging kills. Each year in custody reduces a person's life duration by 2 years. Second, it is a scientific fact that human caging does not reduce crime. These two facts are not widely known, and that is a failure of judges and media. First, take a moment to let this sink in. We know that caging people kills them. Every time a judge jails someone on cash bail or sentences them to prison, the judge is literally killing the person sooner. And he's got links and threads and things here that he's posting to back up what he's saying, but I'm just going to go over the gist of it. Second, social scientists who study incarceration disagree on a lot, but the thing that the entire research community agrees on is that human caging do not reduce crime. This is an incredible finding that is almost entirely absent from media reporting. Third, mainstream media engages in something like climate change denial with these facts. Earlier this year, the New York Times let its San Francisco bureau chief fabricate a shoplifting surge and then speculate to readers that it was caused by reducing prison sentences. Fourth, reporting like this kills people and way more than you might think. The main study on the issue of data from 1981 to 2007 found that total U.S. life expectancy was lower by an average of 1.8 years because of mass incarceration versus other countries. Fifth, it is hard to overstate this finding. The extreme use of human caging in the U.S. causes the entire national average life expectancy to be lower by almost 2 years. This is hundreds of millions of years by living one of the great mass tragedies of the modern world. Sixth, despite these calamitous public health results, elite bureaucrats and media continue to push for more spending on cops, prosecutors, judges, prisons, probation, parole, without ever confronting basic data about safety. Finally, it's important to ask yourself why public officials and media supposedly concerned with public safety have created an environment in which almost no one knows these facts. Why? It's vital to change how we talk about safety. Fantastic thread there, and for those that hadn't previously understood those facts, I think those are incredibly important facts. We know that policing and imprisonment do not actually decrease crime. The recidivism rate in this country is through the roof. If you actually want to decrease crime, what you do is you provide basic social programs to people. You provide them with good health care and education and housing, and you make sure that the economy is such that people have jobs. Like you provide them mental health care, you provide rehabilitation. If you actually want to cut down on crime and on homelessness and poverty, these are the things that you do. If you want to create a state of poverty for much of the community that's just in perpetuity, then you prosecute those communities. You throw them in jail and think that you're going to fix them. It never ceases to amaze me that we actually still call a lot of prisons in this country rehabilitation centers. There's nothing about it that's rehabilitation. There's really not. Grossly inadequate funding for counseling and mental health care for inmates. Grossly underfunded is education opportunities for inmates or internship opportunities for inmates, so that when they get out of prison, they can build on that. They have something to build on, right? We also have this system where it's nearly impossible, if you have been convicted of certain things, to get housing or to get employment if you are a convict, right? We disallow felons from voting. There's so much systemic oppression that is tied to our so-called justice system, and this is a significant part of it. That this is how we handle crime. And again, you could reduce crime, you could nip it right in the bud. I'm not saying it would happen immediately, but over the course of time, if you implemented better social programs, you would get rid of a lot of crime. No one's saying you can get rid of all of it. You'd get rid of a whole hell of a lot of it. And then we can have these difficult conversations of who actually needs to be separated from society and how do we want to treat them. we can have those difficult conversations if we've nipped the bulk of the crime in the bud by actually providing a better and more healthy and, a society that actually provides people with opportunities instead of punishing them when they find themselves, neglected by our social institutions and our economic institutions, legal institutions. So great work from Alec. If you don't follow him, I recommend you do. It's at Equality Alec. All sorts of fantastic information and, keeping perspective where it needs to be as it pertains to the way that police and our prison system operate and the way our judicial system operates, right? We have a few stories along these lines today. Like we talked Donziger earlier, and we're also going to talk later today about the Rittenhouse trial and how biased the judge is in that trial. So a lot of this classism and racism and misogyny and all these, it's corruption. It's all cooked into these institutions from the get-go. And that again is that critical look at these social issues. So fantastic thread there from Alec, and major props to him for that. Want to talk a little bit here